One right now on display.
Interrupt the interview right now to get to some breaking news we've been following. Notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has been sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years for multiple charges in a drug trafficking case. Right now, federal prosecutors are holding a press conference in Brooklyn outside of the courthouse to discuss the details. Let's listen in.
Behind us today was paved with death, drugs, and destruction, but it ended today with justice. Mr. Guzman thought for more than 25 years that he was untouchable, that there was no problem affecting the Sinaloa cartel, that he couldn't bribe, intimidate, torture, or kill his way out of. But thanks to the hard work of the men and women of federal law enforcement, the offices of the individuals who are standing with me and behind me, justice was done today for the American people. Today's sentence is the culmination of a tremendous partnership and a tremendous amount of hard work between the Criminal Division's Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Section in Washington, Rich Donahue's office here in the Eastern District of New York, U.S. Attorney Ariana Fajardo's office from Miami, the DEA, HSI, FBI, and our foreign law enforcement and prosecutorial counterparts around the world. I am tremendously proud and grateful to stand here shoulder to shoulder with these men and women and the offices that they represent. Today brings a measure of justice for the American people. It brings a measure of justice for the country of Mexico, whose institutions were corrupted for decades by Mr. Guzman and the Sinaloa cartel. It also is indicative of the fact that the federal government, the United States Department of Justice, our federal law enforcement counterparts will not rest ever, ever in the face of a threat like Mr. Guzman and his cartel. We will bring you to justice if you pump hundreds of thousands of tons of cocaine and other drugs into our country. We will find you, we will extradite you, we will prosecute you, and we will bring you to justice. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Rich Donahue, U.S. Attorney for Brooklyn.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning. I'm Rich Donahue. I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Eastern District of New York. Minutes ago, in the courthouse behind me, United States District Judge Brian Cogan sentenced Joaquin El Chapo Guzman to life without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years. This sentence is significant, and it is well-deserved. It means that never again will Guzman pour poison over our borders, making billions while innocent lives are lost to drug violence and drug addiction. We cannot undo the violence, misery, and devastation inflicted on countless individuals and communities by the drugs that Mr. Guzman and his organization inflicted on our country for more than 2 decades. But we can ensure that he spends every minute of every day of the rest of his life in a prison here in the United States. The same fate awaits anyone who would seek to take his place. I want to thank our outstanding prosecution team from the Eastern District of New York, Assistant United States Attorneys Gina Parlavecchio, Michael Rabati, Patricia Natopoulos, and Hyrule Mehta, as well as Assistant United States Attorney Brendan King, who is handling the $12 billion forfeiture proceeding. Paralegals Huda Abusher, Melissa Bennett, Eileen Rosado, and Angela Ancale Jimenez. From the Southern District of Florida, Assistant United States Attorneys Adam Fells and Andrea Goldbard. From the Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs Section in Washington, Assistant Trial Attorneys Amanda Liscombe, Anthony Nardozzi, and Brett Reynolds. Finally, I want to thank our law enforcement partners who helped us secure justice in this case. The DEA, the FBI, and HSI. We thank them, their agents, and their courageous partners for bringing this case finally to justice. I'd now like to turn the microphone over to my colleague, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Ariana Fajardo.
Thank you, Rich.
My name is Ariana Fajardo. I'm the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. I will give just a brief statement in English, and then for the Spanish media, I will give a brief statement, or attempt to give a brief statement in Spanish. Today's life sentence really has a profound impact in our country. This is the only sentence that can be given to somebody who has spent a lifetime poisoning the streets of our community. This was not something that could be done by one person. As I looked around the courtroom today, I was very much impacted by the number of agents and prosecutors that it took and the years and decades of evidence that was gathered to bring this sentence today to its culmination. The impact of today's sentence can't be overstated. The world has now been rid of the brutality of the Sinaloa cartel leader. This is very important for us, for our community, and for our government. I want to thank all of the agents and law enforcement that were able to bring out the evidence that came out in this case. Because of them, their decades of work, we now know, and the world now knows, who El Chapo is. He is a drug dealer that would do anything to keep his nefarious empire afloat. It included kidnapping, it included corruption, it included torture, and it included murder. And the same way that you see us standing here today, we are united, all 93 U.S. Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice, and we are here to tell you and tell everybody out there, be careful, because we are going to work together and we are going to rid our streets of these illegal drugs. It may be one case at a time, but we are not done working. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ariana Fajardo. Yo soy el fiscal federal del Distrito Sur de la Florida. Hoy el juez ha condenado a Joaquin Guzman, conocido como el Chapo, a una sentencia en que él va a pasar el resto de su vida en una cárcel. Esto es muy importante porque él ha envenenado las comunidades de muchos de este país, muchas comunidades en este país, y eso no lo vamos a aguantar. Hoy, con la sentencia y la condena que han puesto, nosotros estamos libres de la brutalidad del líder de la Sinaloa cartel. Muchas gracias a todos los fiscales y agentes que han trabajado por años en traer este caso a la justicia hoy. Y le decimos que nosotros, como el Departamento de Justicia, vamos a seguir trabajando para poder quitar todas las drogas de las calles de estas comunidades. Y no vamos a dejar que nadie envenene nuestras comunidades en este gran país. Muchas gracias. En este momento llamo a Ángel Meléndez. I can now call Angel Meléndez.
Good afternoon. My name is Ángel Meléndez. I'm the Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security investigations here in New York. I'll make some brief comments in English and then brief comments in Spanish. I want to start off by saying it's done. The book on El Chapo Guzman is closed today with this life sentence. Now, when you look at the meaning of the sentence, it's a culmination of decades of investigating and working hard in collecting evidence to be able to eventually prosecute and convict this drug trafficker. There's two stories to this. On one side is the fact that corruption and violence is important for drug traffickers like Joaquin El Chapo Guzman to be able to thrive. On the other hand, we see that the heroics of the special agents, the prosecutors, the detectives across borders who worked so hard for decades to be able to bring this man to justice and provide a voice and some type of justice to the many victims of his actions. This sentence today finally separates the myth of El Chapo from the man, Joaquin Guzman. And for the man, it is the end of the line, and it is a reality that he will not be able to escape. En español, culminó. Cerramos el libro, el capítulo de Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. Con la sentencia hoy, el señor Guzmán pasará el resto de sus días en una prisión federal aquí en los Estados Unidos. Con esta sentencia vemos que la corrupción y la violencia es necesaria para que personas como el Chapo Guzmán puedan llevar a cabo sus actividades delictivas por décadas. Pero también vemos el heroísmo de los agentes, de los fiscales, a través de todas las fronteras que han trabajado por décadas para recopilar evidencia, para llevar a cabo esta sentencia hoy monumental e histórica. Porque el señor Guzmán pasará el resto de sus días en una prisión aquí en los Estados Unidos. Y con la sentencia se separa el mito del Chapo del hombre Joaquín Guzmán. Y para el hombre es el final de la cuerda y es una realidad de la cual no se podrá escapar. Thank you. And for now, my colleague from DEA, Tim Foley.
Thank you, Angel. Timothy Foley, Associate Special Agent in Charge, Drug Enforcement Administration. Joaquin Guzman, infamously called El Chapo, will be known in history as the most feared drug lord who built the Sinaloa cartel into the most violent, prolific, and powerful criminal organization in the world. Today should be marked in history as the day American and Mexican law enforcement closed the book on the reign of Chapo. I applaud our federal, state, local, and international partners for their incredible collaboration during the hunt for Guzman, his arrest, extradition, trial, conviction, and today's sentencing. DEA's Mexican law enforcement partners are national heroes. The Mexican Marines are responsible for flushing Chapo from his hideout in the mountains to his capture in Sinaloa, Mexico. It took Chapo a lifetime to build a drug empire, and now he will live the rest of his life in a U.S. security prison. This sentencing sets the stage for American and law enforcement to continue our efforts in dismantling the most prolific drug trafficking organizations in the world. Our collaborative work will be used as a model and solution to bringing to justice international drug traffickers whose poisons have left to the worst drug crisis in U.S. history. This is a message to drug syndicates. If we could put the most powerful traffickers in the world behind bars, anyone and everyone that breaks the law can and will be brought to justice. Again, I thank our partners here and in Mexico and throughout DEA worldwide for their diligent and brave work during this entire investigation. And now I'd like to turn over the mic to FBI Special Agent in Charge, Mike Driscoll.
Good morning. My name is Mike Driscoll, Special Agent in Charge of the New York Criminal Division for the FBI. Today, after many years of waiting, the investigators of the FBI and the many law enforcement agencies represented here with me have witnessed a day that one of the most feared and dangerous drug traffickers in the world will spend the rest of his life in prison. Our country is battling a heart-wrenching and deadly epidemic from the types of drugs Guzman was convicted of trafficking across our borders. We want this case to serve as a warning. We are willing and capable to use whatever resources, to use every partnership available to go after the leaders of these cartels and make them pay for the damage they do to our country on a daily basis. I'm speaking today for the many FBI divisions, the many agents, analysts, employees that have put in tireless endless days of work on this investigation, and to their foreign partners in Mexico and other locations that have contributed to this day. I cannot possibly sum it all up in one statement here, other than to say we are extraordinarily grateful for their efforts, and their efforts have gone to making our country a little bit safer today. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, everybody.
And we were just hearing from the federal prosecution team speaking outside of the federal courthouse in Brooklyn after notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The court also ordered Guzman to pay $12.6 billion as a penalty. The 62-year-old was convicted in February of multiple conspiracy counts in a drug trafficking case after a trial that lasted nearly 3 months. During his sentencing, El Chapo spoke for about 15 minutes. He complained about his living conditions for the past 30 months, saying that he has been tortured and wasn't given a fair trial. El Chapo has been kept in solitary confinement and under close watch while being held behind bars in New York. After he was able to escape from prisons in Mexico, prosecutors said that El Chapo will spend the rest of his life sentence in a U.S. maximum security prison. His lawyers say that they are planning to appeal that life sentence, and we're going to continue to follow this story closely. But right now, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back here with more news of the day. Stay with us. You're watching CBSN New York.